Hey friends, what's up? Kaz here. Welcome back to another server admin tutorial or bucket spigot plugin tutorial. If you're joining for the first time, feel free to hit that subscribe button because I do these every week. If you have suggestions on what you'd like me to do, feel free to comment that in Jibbles below. I will give you a shout out when I get around to it. Like all of these fantastic people that are coming up. This is Hub Basics made by Fabricio 20. So thank you so much for making this plugin. It is super fast, super simple, and really cool to set up. So a couple things. This is basically like a all-in-one hub plugin, obviously. So it has an announcer. It also does a message of the day, which you can configure in the configuration. And then there's very few in-game commands, which I think is kind of unfortunate. It would be nice to be able to handle the announcer stuff in-game, and there's no reload command. So you got to restart your server if you make any changes to configuration. But the first one is set hub. So that's going to set the location of when they do the /hub or /lobby commands. It's going to teleport them to that location, which is really cool. And then you can also do hat and then put a hat on depending on if you have the permissions for that one. So we're going to do hat 0. And then you can also do holograms, which is really cool. So we're going to go, oh, that's one of the features is you have a double jump, which is really cool. So holograms. So if you just do holograms, it's going to tell you what to do. So you go create test 1. And now you can see that that works there. Now color codes do work, so we can add a line. Well, first of all, you want to do holograms list and see the ID of that hologram that you have there. So holograms add line 1 test 2. So add line yes. And then we're going to make that a color code of that, and there we go. Bam. And it's all done. And then you can go holograms, delete. If you do reset, it's going to reset it back to nothing. So might as well just delete it if you're going to get rid of it. There you go. Then we're going to go back to survival. We have double jump, which is pretty cool. That's all enabled in the configuration. Keep in mind, a lot of this stuff is not enabled by default. And then you got this jump pad, which is pretty cool. And you can see the announcer is going down there. So a couple things. Hubbasics.messages.debug lets you see debug messages. Hubbasics.messages.admin gives you admin functions. And then .commands.hat allows you to access to the hat. And then commands.holograms, obviously that's self-explanatory. Now you want to give your users this hub command so they can do /hub. Otherwise they won't have the ability to do it. And then you can do set hub if you want some people to be able to change that. That's all there is to go in the game. Let's jump over to configuration and take a look. I guess before we do that, these also items are there by default. And we have this enabled, so if we have anything in our inventory, and then we disconnect and then reconnect, you can see that it cleared that out of our inventory and gave us only these items. So you can combine this with some sort of chest commands or any other kind of custom GUI in there to really make this very full, which is really all right. So here we are in the server. We are running 1.10.2. Now if you're running like 1.7 or 1.8, you're not going to have all the features that we're going to go over in here. So keep that in mind if you're doing that. But it should work in 1.7, 1.8, 1.9, and 1.10, which is really cool. So we're going to go into our Hub Basics. We dropped this jar file in here. So you can edit your config, holograms, and messages. I like it when authors add this messages. This allows you to change and customize any of the messages out there. Also change the color coding, all that stuff to fit your server. Now we're going to hop in the config file and take a look at that. All right, so here we are in the config file. If you are using this with bungeecord, you want to set this to true so that it knows to look for a server when you put servers in here. So when they join, it will teleport them, or if they go /hub, it will teleport them to this server. So if you run this on other servers, you want to keep that in mind, and then just turn off all the other features that you have, which is pretty cool. You can enable or disable connection messages, so you'll see that when players join. You can fix the weather. Now keep in mind that you're going to have to add the world if the world that you are using on your hub server is not the default one. You're going to need to add it in here. So that's kind of cool because then you can run this alongside. If you don't actually have a bungeecord network setup, you can just run this and it all happens on the same server. So you have a hub world like I do in my tutorial, and you can just put that in here and remove all the other worlds and it won't work in those other worlds, which is super cool that you can do that. Keep in mind, all of this is disabled by default, so set that to true. You can change the material if you want. You can also enable so it requires a pressure plate on top of it. I don't know why you'd want. You can also up the force. You can turn the double jump on and up the force. You can change the sound, all that stuff. Now you have your advanced messages of the day that you can change, and then how often it switches between each line here. And then you have your command override, so if they don't have permissions, that this is what will show up rather than the default one of just you don't have permissions. So that's nice if you want to set that to true and figure out what people are trying to do. You have your automated messages here. Every 60 seconds it'll go, and it's not going to do a random order. It's going to go right down the line. So you want to add more of them in here. You can turn on boss bar messages, which is really cool. You can do a join teleport, so when they join, no matter what, they get teleported back to the world or to this location that you set, which is pretty cool. That's kind of how hub stuff works. And then you have your join items that you can set in here basically, and then the clear on connect, which I showed you there, and then you can just change whatever that item is, you know, and you can sync that up with the chest commands or custom GUI plugin as well, where they get that item and then that custom commands or GUI or whatever will fire up when they right click on that stuff. So that's about it. Pretty quick and easy hub plugin. Now there's a few features that I wasn't able to hit on because it doesn't seem like there's any information out there about them. So we'll see if the author lets me know. I'll put in text guide on all of that stuff as well, or I'll do a quick follow-up video. But anyway, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Hopefully you found this video helpful. Please leave a like and let me know what you guys are thinking. This is Cos reminding you guys all, enjoy the game. God bless.